Israelites, they're on their way out. We've experienced the Passover. We're going to get more details on the Passover. God's going to bring that up over and over for the Israelites because He wants them to use this when they're in the wilderness experience too, to not forget where God brought them from. Last time we got to 12:33, and the Egyptians urged the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, but they said, "We shall all be dead." So at this point, the Israelites want to get rid of them. Pharaoh is finally broken loose for this point, and the servants of Pharaoh that are there, they're like, "Okay, just let them go." And now we're going to see that mass exodus. Someone read, we're going to be jumping on portions of scriptures. So 34 through 37, please.
So the people took the hill and Jerusalem, having the meat bones bound up with the clothes on the shoulders. Now the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, and they had actually Egyptians articles of silver, articles of gold, and gold. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they granted them what they requested. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides sheep.
Huge number. We've gone over this, so it's like, I read this. Well, it does. It repeats a lot. And anytime God repeats, it's not because He's forgotten what He said before. He wants us to get it in our mind. He wants us to get it in our heart. There's some things that I want you to see, and I picked down, it says in Acts 36 verse, and the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. That is critical. God did this. They were slaves. Now they have favor. Now the people, the Egyptians, are willing to give anything that they want, or at least anything that they have left. And that last part, so they granted them what they requested. I've seen this over and over for the children of God. We've just recently, at least in my mind, when we purchased all this land, we asked some crazy things from the person that was selling it. We asked a lower price, and we asked them not to sell, put interest on it, and to spread it out. And you know what? God gave us favor.
Amen.
God gave us favor. We were able to pay directly. We didn't have to do any loans of any type. It was just crazy, and it was nobody but God. And we've seen that favor in our lives, and we realize, man, God is up to something. And we see Him actually breaking the Egyptians, and now the Israelites are going out. Look at that first commentary. Go ahead and read that, please, Diane.
The Israelites journeyed to Succoth, the district of Egypt, not to be confused with the town of that name in Palestine. Genesis chapter 33, verse 17. The Egyptians were only too glad to give their wealth to the Israelites and be rid of them. For the Hebrews, it was only just recompense for all the labor they had put into bear. It provided them with equipment for the journey and materials for the service of God.
I love that part. They were all too willing to give away their wealth. I really do. A lot of times I deal with a lot of people that are struggling financially. And the reason they struggle financially is because we haven't grasped what the scriptures say. And I'm not talking about prosperity. I'm just wise money dealing. That the Lord has put within His scripture, telling us not to get in debt, telling us not to want above our needs, to live within our means. All of these things. And if we think back, I think all of us that are Christians, God has blessed us with tremendous amounts of money. Amen. Just think how much money that God blessed you with, but the problem was you couldn't keep it. Right? Just think. I mean, I see y'all. I see the stuff y'all have on. You know, designer stuff, and leather, and silk, and good hair, and all that. So there's a money flow coming somewhere. The issue is trying to keep that money. And this whole process is the favor of the Lord. He blesses them. They have nothing, and now they go out with everything. Deacon Lynn.
Yeah, and I won't forget me. You see, when he said about, and we thought the price was so high, he said, go back and ask the pastor and dig and pray about it. I messed up, I put the prayer first, and we did, and God blessed us to get it. We got it paid for within about 2 years ago, and it didn't have to be involved with that interest rate.
Amen. Favor of God. Look at this last part. Go ahead, Diane.
About 600,000 men left Egypt, in addition to women and children. The exact number
I really want, because a lot of times we look at the movie, and we probably are gonna look at the movie. Don't, probably, I'm about 80% at this point to look at the movie, but you don't get the feel of 2 million people. That's a lot of people. All right, these 2 million people were in slavery under the Egyptian. Now they're traveling out. Just to deal with the numbers, trying to communicate, I think, from the front of the line to the back of the line. Trying to tell people we're going left, we're going right. This was a tremendous undertaking, and it had to be the Lord. And that's why I'm giving you a precursor. That's why God had to lead them a cloud by day and a fire by night. So all 2 million plus could actually see where they were going. Because they had their leaders that were set up to lead their clans, all of these, and they're looking to Moses for the direction. At the same respect, you got 2 million folks. When things go bad for you and they don't believe in the leader, you got issues. So you got to see all of these dynamics. So 2 million with all their children, all this stuff going out of Egypt. This is the picture. Yes, sir. I think the Coliseum is it like 600? You'll see 600,000 or something like that. Yeah, our Coliseum. 20-something thousand. So if you think 20,000 in our Coliseum, 600,000 men go out. Multiply that. You can just get a grasp. I want you to get a grasp. This is a huge amount of people that are going forward, and God has got to direct them. Now look at this next section. Someone go ahead and read 12:38 and 39, please.
And many multitudes went up to them, and flocks and herds of great deal of livestock. And they did on the gates of the door which they had brought out of Egypt, for it was not moving, because they were driven out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared provisions for themselves.
This is important. It's moving. They got 2 million plus people, and they got what with them? All right, so you got 2 million folks. You know you got a lot of livestock. So you got to deal with the livestock, using the bathroom, all these things, trying to line it up. Somebody has to pull this livestock. This is a huge undertaking. That first paragraph, there is a considerable dispute concerning the date of the Exodus. Commonly accepted conservative date is 1440 BC. Other scholars place it at 1290 BC or even later. So we know within this area they're moving out. These time frames that I give are very important because the world is attacking our time frames, attacking a lot of times, trying to pull us on to evolution, all the processes. And I know I've sat in those science departments and they tell you because of the carbon dating has a lot of issues. It all comes down to none of us was there, right? Right. And our numbers, man, we mess them up so often. So this whole process here, we do have an approximate time frame that the Exodus took place. A mixed multitude, that is including foreigners. Remember, Sister Mamie Fawcett brought that up. And I said we were going to get to that point because they had seen God move so much and the Israelites were covered. They're like, hey, we want to be with y'all. We're not going to stay with Egypt. We're on the first train out. We're going to go with the Israelites. So this mixed multitude, but tagged along with the Israelites when they left Egypt. They are referred to as what? Rabble in Numbers 11:4, where they are seen complaining against the Lord despite His goodness to them. So these same people that are on the first train out, they're going to be the same group to complain later. And I think we have to be careful that our heart, we're first truly converted. Because when you get to complain, you got to ask yourself, if God has been so good, why am I complaining? If God has brought me out, why do I complain over and over again? Now look as we get into this journey. Everybody's moving. Everybody's pushing out. Everybody's excited, at least the Israelites. The Egyptians are excited too. We've gotten rid of them. Someone read the next couple of verses, please.
Now the sojourn of the children of Israel who lived in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, on the very same day, it came to pass that all the armies of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt.
All right, we're going to go through this because within the scriptures, there's a lot of numerology, there's a lot of history that is very important. The reason it is because it's prophetic. If these numbers are wrong, then it makes all the other stuff wrong. All right, and so you'll see a lot of repetition over numbers, and they have to click. Now, the other issue is you've got multiple authors. All right, so all multiple authors have to be hearing from the Lord, have to get the numbers right, because if the numbers are right, again, it's saying that God is alive. So that's why our Bible is so awesome. These 66 books, it's like a puzzle. All the New Testament really comes out of the Old Testament, interpreting the prophecies, and you can go back scientifically, historically, and see these dates, see these numbers, and you go, wow, God was right on time. That's why these numbers are important. The 430 years was the number of years from the time Jacob entered Egypt until Israel escaped at the Exodus can be seen from 1, the clear statement of the Hebrew text in this passage, God's prediction to Abraham that his descendants' seed would be stranger in a foreign land, serve the foreigners, and afflicted by them for 400 years. Genesis 15, 13. 3, the list of 11 generations between Jacob and Joshua in 1 Chronicles 7, 22 through 27. And 4, the multiplication from 70 to over 2 million is easiest to reconcile within this time structure. So there are a lot of people smarter than me, they got more time on their hands that actually go to these details, but when you read it, it goes together so beautifully, the way God works this out. That's why those generations, when we talk about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, those are your hallmarks. Those are your points that you need to know those. And then when you get to Jacob, what happens to Jacob? Changes his name. So you got Jacob, which is also Israel. And then you have a line to come out of that, and that is the basic foundation of the Old Testament. And then the prophets and all come out of that flow. Now we get back to Passover regulations. We talked about Passover, but God wants to make sure the Israelites understand. When I passed over you, it was a focus on the fact that I was a gracious God, but there was something about the blood. There was also something about the Messiah that's going to come. You got to get it in your mind so you'll know when he comes. And so all of these things are pointing to Christ. Look at that 42nd verse. Someone read, please.
It is a night of sorrow of the observance to the Lord for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord, a sorrow of observance for all the children of Israel who are in Egypt.
Now this is, you don't see this a lot. But when you see in the scripture, a solemn observance, what does solemn mean? Holy, respectful. You know, you're supposed to, we were in, Sarah graduated today from high school, excited about that. But it was in a chapel. It was in a chapel, and Dr. Koval said, this is a chapel, and this is supposed to be a solemn occasion, and we need to have respect because we're in a chapel. And I found it very interesting because I was like, why did you have to go through all that detail? But I realized we're in a day and time, people don't know what solemn means. And I think she did a very good job of explaining, okay, this is not just any building, this is a solemn building that we need to respect our environment that we're in. So that's where we're at. God says this is supposed to be a solemn observance. What solemn commemorations do we find in Scripture concerning the New Testament church? Anybody? Communion. Communion is supposed to be a solemn commemoration. we quiet down, and we have. I talk to our choirs, we try to sing songs on a quiet note where people can meditate. Sometimes, and I have in the past, and probably will in the future, I'll have no music, and it'll just be quiet. Very uncomfortable for a lot of people, because they're just like, oh. You know, because now you're just kind of dealing with yourself, and you're sweating. You know, you're like, whoo, and you're thinking about this communion and all that. Very solemn. That's what God is talking about. I want you to really commemorate and think about who I am. So we got communion. What else?
Baptism. Baptism should be solemn.
All right. Baptism,
Yeah.
solemn commemoration.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that one.
You should.
Prayer.
For that person, definitely.
Okay. All right. Baptism. Yes, sir.
Quiet time. Quiet time.
Okay. Maybe your meditation time, seeking the Lord,
Yeah.
prayer.
That time.
Solemn time prayer. We're in a day and time, and I know it's easy. A lot of people taking a lot of music.
Mm.
You know, okay, I'm gonna pray to the Lord. You got, you know, the whinings, and you in the Lord's presence. I found out. Be careful with that. It's great. You can listen to that music, but you need times that you can block that out. You don't need anybody else speaking into you, because that kind of leads you in your mindset. You need to be able to hear from the Lord yourself. And so we need to make those solemn times where we can block out a time. I have white noise, fan, turn a fan on, especially if you got other people in the house, that you can just kind of block things out and have a time where you can really hear from the Lord and you can talk to Him in solemn communion. Yes, ma'am. Amen. Solemn. Yes, ma'am.
I said fasting and also when you get ready.
All right. Fasting, and when we see in the New Testament church, anytime their marriage feast or marriage comes, a very solemn time commemorating and thinking about. And I just wanted you to think about the things that the New Testament has set up. A lot of things we have set up are not really in Scripture. Right? A lot of things that we celebrate, we lift up, we say big. New Testament church, we don't have any record of them really doing it that way. But we do have that big one that we talked about, communion. Communion was huge. Prayer, fasting, seeking the Lord, and that solemn count. Did I get all the hands? Look at this next part as we read 43 through 45. So one.
The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. No foreigner shall eat it, but every man his servant who is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then he may eat it. A sojourner and a hired servant shall not eat
So now we understand more of the solemn commemoration. There's certain things that you can do and you can't do. All right? And we make these comparisons with specifically communion. There are certain things that we find out. Paul the Apostle speaks of this. He says, be careful. If you take this unworthily, if you don't respect this, you can actually cause problems for yourself.
Amen.
He says some of you are sick and have even died. And theologians have struggled with that interpretation, but it comes out of that. They disrespected the solemn occasion. They just kind of took it for granted. And now we see the Lord here with the Israelites setting up parameters. The Passover could be partaken of by the purchased servants of the Hebrews who have become full Israelites by circumcision. Right? Full Israelites by circumcision. That means that they had to give a part of themselves. All right? This was serious. They were about committing. And I think in our day and time, even in the New Testament church, commitment is a weird term. You know, I mean, think about someone brought up marriage. You need a commitment. Commitment? What do you mean committed? You know, we'll try this out. You know, we won't lose things. Used to be a handshake was your bond. And till death, whatever that handshake meant. Now, you can have illegal documents and people still wiggle out of stuff. So here, God says, okay, it's got to be by circumcision. This is something that you can't reverse. This is something literally that you're giving of your body. Look at that second part. But a foreigner or hired servant was not to partake because he had not become joined to Israel. Making correlations to communion, because I think Passover and communion is very, very similar. This is why, you shouldn't let someone who is unsaved partake of that communion. All right? And that's why when I grew up, I didn't understand it. It wasn't explained to me as a child. You're sitting here, you're like, I want some bread too. I just wanted the wine, to be honest. I was like, everybody else drinking wine, I want to drink wine too. It's like, no, you can't have that because you don't understand what's going on, per se. Now, I served communion to my family early, even before, per se, they accepted Christ, because I explained to them. This is about commemorating Jesus Christ. We went through the steps. But a lot of times in church, we've got kids and even adults that don't understand. They think that everybody can partake of this, and it's not. It's those who are joined to Jesus. And we find out in the Old Testament, those same parallels are made. Dean Kelly, got your hand up? Yes, sir.
Got a question. The Passover, right? That was kill the lamb, put it on the doorpost. Then the commemoration of the Passover was about fasting and what they ate and how they ate it and when they ate. But did they not put anything on the doorpost? Because they don't have doorposts out in the desert.
We're going to talk about that. It would be about the slaying of the lamb.
Okay.
All right, so not necessarily having to put blood over the doorpost again, but the blood still had to be shed.
But the actual slaughter.
And the commemoration is still remembering when they did have to put blood over that doorpost. So it's all going back to that, at least for the Old Testament side. New Testament, we're on the other side of it because we have the Messiah who was the Lamb, or who is the Lamb, who was slain for us, and his blood covers us. The whole process. Good question. Look at that next part. Someone read 46 through 51.
In one house it shall be eaten. You shall not carry any of the flesh outside the house, nor shall you break one of its bones. And the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger dwells with you and wants to keep the Passover to the Lord, let all of his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as a native of the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat it. One law shall be for the native born, and for the stranger who dwells among you. Thus all the children of Israel did, and as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. And it came to pass on that very same day that the Lord brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt according to their armies.
So everything is in place. He is very specific and very forceful when it comes to this Passover. Now, there's that first part of it that talks about that flesh in 12:46. Nor shall you break one of its bones. Neither shall you break one of his bones refers to the Passover lamb and typifies Christ, of whom the same could be said when he was crucified. John 19:36. It was amazing. None of his bones were broken. And the reason none of his bones could be broken was because of this. If his bones would have been broken, it would have been outside of the prophecy, and he wouldn't have been a Messiah. So none of his bones, which when you think about it, just amazing how much he was beaten, spit at. Even the spear that went up his side, it didn't break a bone. It went up and it was able to go through that rib up into his heart, his pericardium. So all of these things came in place. And right when the soldier is getting ready to break his legs, that was the ritual. It was like, okay, y'all been hanging here too long, so what we're going to do, we're going to break your legs so you can no longer support your weight, and it'll suffocate you quicker. Well, when he got to Christ, he was already gone. But that usually didn't stop them. They were still just... But it had to be fulfilled, this prophecy. If those legs would have been broken, he would not have been the Messiah. Both thieves' legs were broken. But the Messiah Christ, his legs were not broken. Wow. God gives us all of these pieces so that we can make sure that we know who the Messiah is. John 19:36, for these things were done that the scripture should be fulfilled, not one of his bones shall be broken. By their armies, verse 51, refers to the host of multitude of Israel, not necessarily enlisted fighting men. So we've got all of these people, and we've got the splicing together with the Passover to look at the prophecies. Brother Rick.
A lot of people down through history said that what was written in the Bible was all made up, especially the four gospels.
Right.
And prophecies, all the prophets and the prophecies that was met like this, that's impossible to make something up like this.
You're right.
About Christ's life. But there's been a naysayer that's tried to say
It's impossible. And the reason it's impossible is because all of the authors. If you had one author, you go, okay, you know, he can manipulate the story and everything. But to have multiple authors from multiple different areas and to splice together, speaking at different times, and it connects, it is nothing short of a miracle for these things to come together. And this is not just trying to prove that our Bible is right. It is.
Right.
It is. And no other scripture, you know, the Quran, all those other things, it's not like our Bible. It's just not. And even some of them look to our Bible, they just take portions of it and they don't want the rest of it. And so it's just a wonderful book that God has given. Even the Catholics, I believe many of them are saved, but they have our Bible, but they have extras too. So they still focus on our Bible, but they have put other stuff that's kind of divided and taken them to another path. Yes, ma'am.
You said, it says, not one of the bones is broken. So when we have our communion, you always say, take of the bread as it's broken for you.
Right.
So,
His body was broken, not his bones. Don't you be trying to get me off that. This bread is broken for you as his body was beat. But that's a good point. So I guess I gotta make sure. I say Tawana wanted me to make sure y'all understood. His bones weren't broken. His flesh was crushed and beaten and bruised for us. And that's why we use that. But good point. You be listening. I'm so proud of you. Any other? Yes, sir.
And they tried to disprove the Bible. And would have if they could have, but there have been so many instances of where archaeologists and other people have dug up a cave or a sepulcher or they found the Dead Sea Scrolls or Ezekiel's writing. They found so many different things that collaborated what was in the Bible. About Jesus, when Jesus was born, stories about Jesus, stories about Luke, Matthew, Mark, John. I mean, you know, it's been so many different places and so many different times and stuff has been dug up and collaborated what's in the Bible.
Amen.
That they can't, I mean, you can't just say, you know, a few people made it up. I mean, stuff in different cities, you know, so I mean, they know it's true.
Amen. And all other religions that I've gone through, they always have like a way just in case you can get in. Even if you don't believe what they believe, they go, well, if you're a good person, your karma will line up. And, you know, they can never say, you might be able to make, we're the only religion that really says Jesus Christ is the only way. And that's tough. So even my friends who don't believe or they believe in something else, they're all like, well, Howard, you're a nice guy. You should make it. I'm like, cool. I can't say that for you because, you know, you're a nice guy too, but I believe that Jesus Christ is the only way. And it's that paradox. And you can take chances all you want, but I choose to be with Jesus. I know what he's done in my life. And the Word of God, just in itself, beyond emotions or anything else that's happened in my life, the Word of God is proven. All you got to do is read it over and over again. You kind of see, wow, this Word is life. Yes, sir.
Last week we shared with one of the in the park, and it clarified. Those naysayers, all the atheists in the world, all the smart people in the world have got together and said it's just a proven fact. Jesus Christ did walk. So the evidence of all those things, the Dead Sea Scrolls, you know, they're finding chariots in the Red Sea, you know, all those things are true. Eventually, the smartest people in the world will be converted because they are being converted. The more they learn, the more they research, the more they can't quantify why it's not true. So, therefore, we believe in faith.
Just look at the sky. As an early child in the plains we were growing up, laying on the side of the hill looking up at the stars, I was like, come on. I really just, it didn't add up. up. It didn't add up. It sounds, you know, you get around a smart person and they start swapping all this stuff out and everything. And I always had that, I would ask, so who made the Big Bang? And then they would go back to their squabbling, who made the Big Bang? And they can never get past that point, and some would get just upset with me, angry with me. Why do you keep angry with me? I think that's a good question. You know, you got all these numbers because that's where they hit their limit. They hit their limit at that point, well, where you just, nothing doesn't come out of nothing. And then you've got the smart folks who are like, well, who made God? Well, I'd rather take my chances with God than nothing plus nothing. So we gonna find out, right? Brother Serrano.
Pastor, this morning, my IT wife, she looked at her phone and there was a thing that came from Alaska, meaning what, the Pacific Ocean?
The two oceans that meet together, they don't.
Yeah, the two oceans that meet together up there, and you can see where it's split. One is blue, dark blue, the other is green. They don't mix at all. The line goes across just like that. And I watched that thing for a minute, and then she comes to my head and said, only God, and that's true. I could not believe that, but I believe it now. But he does some wonderful things.
He does. He does. Gulf Stream, all of these things, God is in control of it. The storms, I mean, just looking at the clouds and all of that. I mean, with all this technology, think all the technology we got, and our weatherman still can't get 100% right. I'm saying, I mean, really, I mean, we should be at this point to be able to do 100%. Let me know exactly what time it's going to rain, where the cloud is coming from, tornadoes. We're still behind the scheme. Why? Because God is in control of it. He's always been in control of that. All of these processes. Look at this next part. The firstborn consecrated. Now, I told you, don't forget about that firstborn that was killed meant something. God never does something haphazardly. He's trying to make a statement. There's a symbol that's put forth. So someone go ahead and read 1 and 2, please.
Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, consecrate to me all the firstborn, whatever opens the womb among the children of Israel, both man and beast, it is mine.
This is key. This is a principle, I believe, that goes out generations. How many firstborns in here? Raise your hand. Firstborn. All right? I got twins up here debating. Their mama won't tell them which one it is. Well, out of the twins, whichever one is the firstborn, God has put, I wouldn't say a special blessing, but a hand upon it. All right? That firstborn means something. And we often equate that. We have our children, our firstborn is usually going to be the oldest, the one that's going to work out all the issues after we're gone, all of those things. We kind of have those processes that are put there. That firstborn, right? That firstborn, and sometimes that firstborn, you know, that's when you're trying to work through all kinds of stuff, and you care about that firstborn. I care about you too, Benjamin. You was the last one. But Tom, really, you know, you had a baby and you trying to work out and all the grandparents, oh, this is beautiful. You know, it's just all of these things, and you attach everything to the firstborn. But God said, the firstborn is, why would God do that? Anybody, why would God do that?
Because he can't.
Wants it off the top.
Benjamin?
Because he knows that they're important to the people.
And I know this sounds sad, but it's true, and it's encouraging to me. Benjamin said it, this is important to you. I don't ever want you to get your priorities out of whack. I don't want you to ever think that child was yours anyway. Amen. I'm dealing with that now. You know, I don't ever want you to think that somehow it was yours. Because I'm the one who, by my grace and mercy, got you out of this anyway. So I got to remind you, because we tend to get spoiled. We tend to just think that it is ours. This is mine. Again, then the Lord spoke to Moses saying, consecrate, set apart to me all the firstborn. And I love this detail, whatever opens the womb. You ever had a child, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't been there, you know what I'm talking about. Among the children of Israel. But then he says this, both what?
And these. Oh, Calvin.
He said, it's mine. We've got to deal with this later on. He's going to bring this up again. Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to look at what God has done in the life of the Egyptians, taking their firstborn through the plague. And this time all over the other way around, he's asking them for the firstborn. I'm trying to connect the two of them. I don't know. I think that there is something, a statement God is trying to make to the people of Israel, for them to understand that he's the one who gives. And he's the same one who can take as well.
And one of my family members made that statement last week. It might have been Angie, she's not here, but they were talking about the firstborn. They were like, it's amazing that God takes the Egyptians' firstborn, but by death, but he takes the Israelites' firstborn, but he doesn't kill them. And we see grace, because technically God could have took all the firstborns. So we see this grace and mercy working, and this is a reminder. I think the Israelites are going, oh, okay, the firstborn is yours, and they had to reflect back onto, are you going to kill them? Because that's what he did to the firstborns with the Egyptians, but he's saying to set aside them, even as God claimed the lives of all the firstborn human beings and animals in Egypt in the Passover, God placed a similar claim upon Israel, but it wasn't a death. It was saying, I want them to be devoted to me, and we'll work this out a little later as we go through it. Yes, sir.
But you know, Pastor, they both got the lesson out of this. They both found out what the power of God could do. Because they seen their firstborn die, and theirs was in that God was saying, you have 22, I'll take yours too. You know, just that quick. What he did, he was showing them exactly the remedy of not going, losing your firstborn to poor old Pharaoh. He lost everything.
And in kind of defense of God, if I can explain to him, in a sense, these Israelites were stubborn people. They were known as stiff-necked people. And they could take a licking and, keep on kicking. And so God had to do some things to really get their attention. And I guess because they had gone through slavery, because they had gone through so much, kind of toughened them up. They were able to take some things. Remember what they said about the Hebrew women? What would they say about it? Yeah, it was, the Egyptian women were supposed to kill the males. Remember that? The males that were coming out, and they made this statement, and you would think they were just lying, but they weren't. They were saying the Hebrew women are vigorous. And we've seen them. They be in the fields, they drop the baby and keep moving. I mean, that's a strong woman. They were very strong, and God had to get across to these people about his providence. Look at this next section, because I want to get into, so we got the firstborn is his. He's going to explain more later, but he has to go back to the unleavened bread. Remember we talked about the unleavened. Leaven stood for what? Sin. All right, leaven always stands for sin. So we have unleavened is saying the lack of sin. So he's using symbols here. Someone read 13:3 through 8, please.
And Moses said to the people, remember this day in which you went out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out of this place. No meat of bread shall be eaten. On this day you are going out in the month of days. And it shall be when the Lord brings you to the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers to do, a land flowing with milk and honey, which you shall keep the service in this land. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day there shall be a feast of the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and no leavened bread shall be seen among you, nor shall leaven be seen among you in all the quarters. You shall tell the son of that day, saying, this is done because of what the Lord did for you when you came out of Egypt.
Repeats over and over again. We've heard a portion of this. Way back. He's still telling us about the unleavened bread. Telling us about the Passover. You got to commemorate. You got to remember this thing. And you gotta tell your children. I think this is where we fail. Our generation, telling our children. Telling your children doesn't mean pastor tells your children. It means you tell your children. You train up your children. And I think a lot of times we made assumptions, if I get them to church, then they're gonna get it. No, they sit there asleep just like you. They need to hear it from you. That's how they get it. Thank God I'm here to edify, do what I do. But the family unit is all about taking it home and applying it home, training those children, tell them. And you'll see this principle over and over again. Yes, ma'am.
I was talking to an older teacher about classroom discipline and how to get kids to actually pay attention. And she told me what she does is have them do a motto in their classroom every day. She said the first couple of weeks, everybody grumbles and complains, she says, but then they start believing it every single time they say it. And then you start seeing this change because they've said this every single day. And I was thinking back to, my grandparents, they used to learn these poems that had meanings to them, these long things that my granddaddy can still, recite, and how important it is for us to remember, and how in a day and time where we have Google and Facebook and all these things where we can just post stuff and go back and remember, how important it is for us to remember mentally the past and what happened before us.
Reminding us.
I just look at this story of God and the children of Israel, about how he was repeating certain things to them over and over and over, just to compare with our own lives and our houses. The other day you said something that really touched me when you said sometimes our children that we gave birth to, we wish we have done something to get them to exactly where they are, but it's never so. So that comes out that every day, whatever you tell them, you need to keep on repeating the same thing over and over, and then praying and believing that maybe one day you will understand exactly what you're trying to tell them. Because it's not easy. I mean, we are, like I said, we are humans. So if you don't do it, if you don't keep on repeating it every day, you don't keep on saying the same thing over and over, it might go through 1 year and then they think whatever you tell them is already gone.
You're right.
Because I mean, we need a grace of God to be able to do this. And God has showed us how to be the children of Israel.
That's why it's important for the fellowship. So we can hear these things over and over again, get it in our heart. Sarah and Dave Senior Millers, she's one of their teachers. She says at Renaissance, what does she say every day when y'all go in that class? Y'all remember? Sarah, they would talk about the Renaissance woman, and they would make this mantra about, they would be respectful, they would dress properly, and the girl that was up there said they just kind of grumbled over it. And she said, we actually started to believe it. It slipped up on us. We were just repeating it at first, then it was like, yeah, I am somebody. And that's what the word does for us. As we get in it and we begin to pray and we seek the Lord, we start to believe this with our whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. And that's what God is doing. He's like, this has got to get so much in you that you'll never depart from it.
And then too, with Jesus, we will become more like him.
Amen.
The more we seek him and read his word, and like you said, I don't remember which, so you said, read it out loud.
That Romans 12:1.
Yes.
Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our mind.
Read it out loud.
You talk about words. Words are one of the most powerful things we have. Now, that's how we communicate with God, is through prayer, through our words. How we communicate with each other. We can speak good things and bad things on the people by the words that we use and what tongues in which we use it. So we have to be mindful. I put my hands on it. Sometimes you just got to shut up and be quiet. Because when you use prejudice or you use hurtful things, people believe that about themselves and start to live out those things.
So true. Yes, sir.
Pastor, I was listening to you saying about Israel. It's so funny that when President Trump was talking with him, telling him how he's going to do to the Jews and everything like that, he could do whatever he wants to do. If any of those side countries decide to do something to them, it's over. They're going to invade it, they're going to blow away, and do whatever, because they know they're protected by God. Even though they don't believe in the Messiah, they still know.
They're still God's chosen people.
Yep.
Look at this commentary. These verses reiterate the basic law of Passover. The feast was to last for 7 days. Remember your numbers. When you go into your Bible, you're reading, if you're one of those who need to take notes, start underlining, circling numbers. Really, you're like, wow, there's a lot of numbers that kind of stick out. No leaven was to be used. It was to commemorate God's deliverance of Israel from Egypt, and it was to be celebrated every year in the month of Abib, or what is it? Every year, commemorate. I do. We need to have commemorations where we remember what God delivered us from. You know, I have some things in my life, and I've preached about them. I keep because I want to be reminded. I want to be reminded on a yearly or daily basis. If I see that, oh, okay, I remember God, you did that. And that humbles me and takes me back to the point of just giving him even more praise. Let's get another verse, 9 and 10. Let's get those two verses.
It shall be as a sign to you on your hand and as a memorial between your eyes, that the Lord's law may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand the Lord has brought you out of Egypt. You shall therefore keep his ordinance in its season from year to year.
All right, again, you hear that. God wants them to remember. But look at this. This is very profound to me. It shall be as a what?
Sign.
A sign. God gives us a lot of signs already. A lot of people look for signs, and there's a lot of signs already out there. Like I said, the heavens. Just look at the heavens. Some people are trying to find stuff in the clouds, and that's great. I've seen, but you know what? You don't have to. Just the fact that there are clouds. You know, you look hard at anything, you see anything. You're like, I'm serious. You know, somebody come to you and was like, see, that's Jesus in the cloud. And you're like, and then they point it out. They go, there's his nose and there's his hand, and the more they describe it, you start seeing it. Right? And somebody else comes like, I don't see nothing. You're supposed to need somebody else. Ain't nothing up there. You just making up stuff. But really, there are plenty of signs that God doesn't have to make up more for us. He's put them in the heavenlies. And he said, this is going to be a sign for you. And this is very important. He said, this sign is to you on your hand and as a memorial between your eyes. That the Lord's law may be where? Now, we're going to get a little later, and we're going to go through a lot of things. The Israelites will actually make this literal. Right? They're going to do some things, and they're going to have scriptures right between their eyes. They're going to have little things that are going to hang down, phylacteries on their robes and stuff, and they're going to take this out in a literal sense. And even today, the Pharisees and stuff, they actually have these things literally doing it. But the problem is, you can look all holy as you want, but if it's not inside you. So these things were never necessarily supposed to be a literal point. God was trying to get us, I'm going to have the word written on your heart. It's going to be in your mind. It's going to be between your eyes. When you look at something and your flesh tends to wander, all of a sudden the word going to come up. And you're going to go, oh Lord, forgive me. Bring me back. That's what the word of God being written on our heart. That's what he's saying going to be on your hand. When you reach out and you would do evil, man, that word, you start seeing the word of God. And the word of God literally colors everything. That's salvation. When you're changed, everything. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but now we start seeing it more. One of my prayers the other day was, Lord, help me see it the way you would have me see it. I wanted to say, help me to see it through your eyes. I was like, I might not be able to handle that. So just help me to see it the way you want me to see it. This is where God is getting the Israelites. Any final comments? Yes, sir.
Sometimes, we have to take God's word and believe it even when we don't understand. And, what Brother John was saying back there when he was talking about, I think he was talking about the Gulf Stream. I know when first time I went deep sea fishing, the guy was telling me about it. I'm like, it ain't possible. This is not possible. You can't put a blue water and a murky gray green water together. They don't mix a little bit. I thought they were teasing. I said, my mind, really, there's no way possible. When we got out to the Gulf Stream, the captain said, gentlemen, we entered the Gulf Stream. It was like somebody chalked a line down this water. Murky green, gray looking water here, almost crystal clear blue water here that you could look down and see 15 or 20 feet, see fish swimming around in it. And I'm like, it ain't possible. It was like somebody chalked the line. It wasn't mixed. It wasn't like 10 feet of mixed water. It was like blue water here and murky gray water over here. You couldn't see 3 feet down, and this over here, you can see 18 or 20 feet down. And I'm like, it ain't possible. It's just not possible. But it was. I don't understand God's word like that. That's something that I don't believe. I know it's so.
Amen. Amen. And keep that thought. When we get to going across the sea, I want y'all to remember this. Because I think that God leaves signs that He's already done in the past. Because that's going to be one big one that we're going to see at the Red Sea. Come on, TV, let's close out.